Hello everyone to this wonderful session of SEBI Grade A 2025 Success Stories. Here we have a very special person with us, Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna is having a background, educational background of engineering, and yet he has cracked the SEBI 2025 Grade A 2025 exam. This was considered to be one of the toughest papers, but he was able to crack this exam, right? And that's really wonderful to see. He's a very sorted person. We had a wonderful discussion before this session, and let us ask Krishna, how did he go about this particular journey? How was his journey? What were the steps that he took for the preparation? First of all, congratulations, Krishna, on clearing this exam, and you can tell all the viewers how are you feeling after you have cleared SEBI Grade A 2025 exam.
Thank you, sir. Like I said, the first feeling that came to my mind was I'm very much relieved that I don't have to give any more exams after having given so many exams and interviews as well, but not making it to the final list.
Okay, so as we were discussing, Krishna has already given many exams, and he would be fascinated to know that he has given all the five regulatory body exams. So I think Krishna is a wonderful source of inspiration for all of us. That never give up attitude is something that is very much visible. We just had a short conversation in that, and he's a very sorted person. And as we move about in this session, we will also get to know that, and it will be really great to know all the insights from his journey, how he went about tackling each thing and keeping himself very much focused and taking the right decisions. First of all, starting with the educational and the preparation journey, Krishna, how like you were telling me, you have completed your graduation from IIT Hyderabad. So from there, from that line, coming into the regulatory bodies and the public sector, giving these exams, how did all of this happen? If you would like to mention about that.
Sir, I had it in the back of my mind that I'd be working for the public sector, but it was not planned to be about regulatory bodies. So after my graduation, while the placements were going on, the pandemic has happened, and there were no placements for my batch. So majority of them went for the IT sector because they have already done some courses in programming. But I did not find any interest in that. So I decided to take up a pre-placement offer from my internship, and I worked as a manager in one of the tech startups for almost 1 year, and I resigned there in April 2022. And like I said earlier, UPSC was the first exam that came to my mind. So obviously, I started preparing for it, but seeing the sheer volume of material that I had to study for the exam, so I decided to look for alternatives. And that's when the IFSC has come out with its notification. And I started preparing for it because it has very less syllabus and it seemed doable. Although, because that was my first exam, I did not have any proper guidance or awareness or what the demands of the exams are. So I was not able to clear the prelims itself. And then came IRDA notification. So this time the pattern seemed much more doable compared to IFSA. The prelims has only GA, Quant, Reasoning, and English, and the mains exam was completely descriptive. And my interview went fairly well too. I was given 89 marks out of 100, but I could not make it to the final list because I lacked any full-fledged preparation. I studied only for a week or so before the exam because at that time I was waiting for RBI prelims results too, and same for the same reason that I did not prepare formally. So I missed the final like the prelims result due to reasoning cutoff, sectional cutoff. So after this RBI and IRDA, SEBI has come out with its notification, and thankfully there were no other exams happening at that time. So I decided to prepare full-fledged for SEBI. And after looking at the syllabus, like almost half the syllabus was completely unfamiliar to me. There were accounts, costing, Companies Act. These words I've never heard before. So I started looking for some sources to prepare for this exam. And since there was an abundance of time, I started preparing slowly. I refer to EduTap summary sheets for accountancy, which I would say greatly helped because it's almost 2000 pages long. It's quite comprehensive and covers all aspects of the syllabus. And each topic was explained neatly with examples, and there were numericals to solve. Uh, like I felt it a very good replacement to watching lectures.
Okay.
So that helped very much with my accountancy. And since it helped with accountancy, I thought to refer to EduTap only for costing as well and economics also. But coming to Companies Act, I felt that referring to the Bare Act would help more, given that it is a legal document. So there is not going to be much of a difference in interpretation. And since I am also comfortable in reading the legal jargon, so I took the help of AI where the wording was very complex. So it helped very much reading the Bare Act because these days IBPS has been asking direct one-liners from Companies Act. So that's how my preparation went for SEBI. And I cleared the mains obviously, but in my interview did not go as planned. The panel seemed to have set off on the wrong foot right from the beginning.
Okay.
And that interview was nothing short of a disaster for me.
Okay.
Uh, Actually, that was the only interview of all the interviews that I gave, which went bad. So after that, like at the same time, I had given interview at EPFO as well for enforcement officer, and both the results came back to back within a day gap, and I did not make it to both. So while I was thinking what exam to give next, NPS Trust has come out with its notification. And since the syllabus is pretty much same, I had to study only the pension part again.
Yeah.
So I did it again from the PFRT website and its regulations. But unfortunately, NPS Trust has put 60% sectional cutoff in its interview stage.
Mm.
And although I did perform well in the mains and as well as interview, they gave this above cutoff only to few selected people. So
Okay.
I was not able to get it to the final list. And after NPS test, I felt like I should start from scratch again. And this time I started preparing for seriously for RBI again. So this time I cleared prelims as well uh, without much difficulty. And unfortunately, in 2025, all the exams happened simultaneously except for SEBI. So I had very little time to prepare for each exam, which is why I missed the final selection in all three regulatory bodies back to back: PFRDI, FSC, and RBI.
Okay.
And it was by a very narrow margin also. Like in PFRDI, I missed by 0.32,
Oh.
and in AFSC just by 1 mark. And in RBI, because I did not practice much for descriptive, I scored very less, like 19 marks in FM descriptive,
Okay.
where people are scoring 30, 35. So had I got that 6 extra marks, I would have got into RBI as well.
Okay.
So once all these exams are done with, I had enough time to prepare for SEBI interview. So I did prepare for it, and my interview went very well. So I was quite optimistic about the selection this time, and thankfully my instinct turned out to be true.
That's wonderful. So that's a whole roller coaster, I would say, journey,
Yes, sir.
wherein you have given all of these exams and then finally you have cleared SEBI this time. So we will go for a detailed conversation on that also, how everything felt and how it was. But talking about SEBI, first of all, like the subjects in SEBI are something that you do not have a background of, right? Specifically the commerce subjects. So having a background actually gives an advantage. So what would you suggest to people like you are an engineer, other people also who are engineers? They might be feeling slightly, I mean, they might be afraid slightly to go ahead with preparing for SEBI. So what would you advise to them? How to cope up with that fear first of all, and then how to practically prepare for these subjects? Because as you said, you have never heard about these subjects, and it is like a new language, learning a new language. So what would you suggest about that?
Sir, first thing is this expectation that you can finish the syllabus in a short time, which can hold true for subjects like finance, management, or ESA in RBA. But coming to commerce subjects, especially for candidates who do not have any background in those subjects, I would suggest to not go with any such expectation that I'll finish the syllabus in so and so time. Just start with the subject and uh, understand at what pace you are able to, grasp the concept. So accordingly, you plan your strategy. And coming to the sources, I would say if you are someone who prefers to read from the original sources, I would suggest ICI and ICMI material are very good sources, especially that IBPS is asking direct one-liners from those books itself. And if you are someone who prefer a compilation from some coaching, I think EduTap, like I said earlier, EduTap is fairly good. It covers the syllabus comprehensively. And later on, you can complement it with actual ICI material. Same goes for costing. And for Companies Act, if you are comfortable reading the legal language, nothing beats the Bare Act. But many are not comfortable with the legal wording, given that they have twisted meanings and some hidden interpretations, so to say. So in that cases, it is advisable to go for any coaching compilation because Companies Act is fairly straightforward. So no matter what compilation you refer to, I don't think it should matter much.
Okay, nice. So this is with respect to the subjects that were not something that we can relate to your background, and you
Yes,
did
sir.
in this manner. You got help
Mm.
from EduTap. Now talking
Yes,
about the subjects like finance, management, right, and even for that sake economics,
economics.
right? So these subjects are like slightly, I would say it's there in RBI also and here in SEBI. So you prepared for both. What would you say was the difference in the preparation as far as these subjects are concerned, as with respect to SEBI and RBI? Is there any difference, or how should we go about its preparation for SEBI?
Sir, I think the primary difference comes from the fact that RBI also has descriptive in these subjects. Whereas when you are studying for SEBI, you only study it from an objective perspective. That you should be familiar with the concept and you should be able to identify this word if it appears in the exam. Whereas for RBI, it goes a bit deeper that you have to have a deeper understanding of the concept so that you will be able to write some 400 or 600 words on a specific topic. So which makes the syllabus much more wider in RBI compared to SEBI. Whereas when it comes to SEBI, it is important that you understand the definitions and you are familiar with all the keywords in the syllabus, and also you cover the syllabus exhaustively. You cannot leave any topic as such. Whereas there is that buffer zone in RBI. You can comfortably leave a few topics if you are short of time or something like that. So this is the primary difference.
Okay, fine. So, talking about the difference, mainly the descriptive part makes the greater difference, and apart from that, there is a scope of going for the important topics as far as RBI is
Yes.
concerned based upon the previous year questions. That is what I think you meant to say. That is
Yes.
wonderful to hear. And apart from that, there are these subjects as far as phase one of SEBI is concerned, and also the same subjects in phase two paper two. So, is there any difference in the preparation of both? Can we prepare both of these together, or what would be the strategy? What would you suggest?
Sir, I don't think there is any need to prepare for phase one specifically, given that it is exactly same as phase two. So preparing for phase two will obviously cover everything that you require to clear phase one, and also the fact that phase one has a fixed cutoff. So any serious aspirant would be able to clear that 40% cutoff without any specific preparation. And I'm saying that because you have made a distinction between phase one and phase two, but realistically speaking, both have same syllabus, and I don't think any candidate should differentiate between phase one and phase two as such.
Okay, fine. So that makes SEBI a little easier also, would you say that?
Uh, Sir, it is easier, like it is dead easy to clear the prelims, so to say. But the real competition begins in mains.
Mains. Okay.
So if you are looking, if your aim is only to clear prelims, and just to get an idea of how mains feels like, then I would say CB is easier. But if you look at the complete picture, like if your target is final selection, so no matter where the competition starts, in RBI the competition starts right at the prelim stage, whereas in SEBI the competition starts in the main stage. So that's the only difference I would say. So apart from that, I know there is not much of a difference if you are aiming for the final selection.
Okay. Great. So that was with respect to these subjects. But this time, like you have given SEBI previously also, I would say it was also that the paper was slightly difficult in comparison to the other years. Would you relate with that? And what when you went for the exam, how did you feel? Was it a surprise or something, or was your preparation like good enough that you didn't feel that it is a surprise at all? Okay, so how did you feel about this paper, 2025 paper?
The first thing I would like to point out is it is not slightly difficult, it is very much difficult due to the fact that almost 10 to 15 questions came from out of syllabus, like the IT Act or the GST questions.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was very much difficult and uncertain and unpredictable, so to say, compared to previous year. And coming to my preparation, sir, I'll be very honest with you. This time I did not prepare anything for SEBI because 1 month prior to SEBI, I had to appear in an interview at IFSCA, and within 5 days of giving SEBI mains, I had to appear for interview at RBI. So
Okay.
between these two interviews, I did not get any time to prepare for SEBI due to the fact that I'm presently working in a bank. So managing time for those interviews itself was an uphill task. So what mostly helped me was that I had appeared for SEBI, PFRD, and NPS Trust exams prior to this. So that accumulated knowledge has helped me clear the mains this time. So I had studied only for 2 days before the mains exam. And the fact that SEBI has mostly static syllabus, it is not going to change over a period of time. Whereas for RBI, like when I appeared in 2025 exam, I had made detailed notes for RBI, but all of it is useless for this year's RBI. Although I did manage to clear the prelims, uh, but for an average candidate, like RBI for the prelims, whatever you study a year before is not of any use for your next attempt. Only the static part is going to help. So for those who are committed to join one of the regulatory bodies, no matter what, I would advise them to go for the second set of exams like SEBI, PFRDA, and PSS, because the syllabus is not going to change over a period of time. Anything that you study previously is going to help you.
Mm, right. So, yes, it is for all the aspirants who are watching that you should go for a strategic decision. It is like if you are really in love with RBI, then you should definitely go for it because you will have to keep changing your notes every year. And of course, many people do that. They do that effort. But yeah, if you are like any of the regulatory bodies is fine. So you should go for the second set of exams is what Krishna is telling us over here. Now, going a little deeper into these subjects, it was seen that this time there were some new kind of questions as far as all the different subjects are concerned. Like in finance, economics, they were lengthy and like numerical based questions which are less expected. Also topics like GST and this taxation, right? So, how did you tackle over there? Again, as you were saying, that was it because you have prepared previously that the same thing helped, or is it something that you would advise for people who are actually giving SEBI wholeheartedly in the next year? That what should they do with respect to such unpredictability in the paper?
Sir, I think this should not affect one's choice of whether or not to target an exam, because as and when the exam pattern changes or the style of asking question changes, one has to adjust their strategy and not, jump like shifting goalposts for every exam. Because if we look at RBI as well, like up until 2024, they used to ask questions from schemes, circulars, reports, and whatnot in prelims. But in the last two exams, they had started asking questions from history, geography, polity,
Yes.
and questions that are not expected earlier. But what I feel is the right candidate adjusts his strategy and not change the exam itself. And coming to this, the change of pattern in questions in SEBI. Sir, I feel what I did was in my 2024 attempt, I attempted almost 93 questions. Whereas in my 2025 attempt, seeing that there are a lot of questions that are out of syllabus, I decided to maximize my accuracy. And I had attempted only 84 questions, which is quite low, given that I tend to attempt as much as possible in any exam. So not touching the questions that are out of syllabus, I had maintained that accuracy and reduced my negative score.
Okay,
So
so you
that
tweaked
helped
on
it.
the right. So you tweaked the, I mean, as per the paper, you have tweaked your way of giving the exam
Yes, sir.
itself. And yeah, this is something that someone would learn from giving multiple mock tests. Is that something that you would suggest? And what would be some safe number of, is there any number of mock tests, or how should we go about practicing for the exam so that we are able to decide on the day of the exam, how should we move about giving, being accurate or giving more number of, I mean, hitting more number of questions?
Sir, I think this is something that one would learn only from experience. So yes, definitely giving mocks helps. But again, the questions that are asked in mock tests are nowhere close to what are asked in actual exam. In my case specifically, I had never like I had given very few mock tests for these exams, given that I had given more than enough actual exams itself. So that experience has helped me very much in picking what questions to attempt and what to leave, because it so happens that some questions have ambiguous answers, some might be having multiple answers, and you are never sure of what IBPS treats as correct answer.
Mm.
So, and you can understand this only after you give multiple IBPS exams, like to see how the examiner is treating the questions. So,
Yes.
in my opinion, instead of attempting mock tests, one should attempt the previous year's memory-based paper. Although it does not replicate the actual questions, one gets a fair amount of understanding that, okay, these kind of questions are asked, and this is the way they are asked. So that helps more than mock tests, is what I feel.
Okay, so previous year questions are much more helpful, is something that aspirants should note. And coming
Correct.
to the main subjects like costing, commerce, accountancy, right? These subjects actually didn't have the questions this time what were expected, like numericals and all were slightly expected, but they were slightly less in number. Did that affect your, I mean, the way you gave the paper, or was it a surprise or something like that? What would you say about these subjects?
Sir, coming to my strategy, I had never compartmentalized these different sections. Like there are going to be this many number of numericals, there are going to be this many number of questions from this topic. So when I prepare for an exam, I prepare it comprehensively. That anything that I consider is important or relevant, I study that topic fully, no matter whether there is going to be one question or 10 questions from that subject, because you never know what the examiner is going to ask on the exam day. So while it helps that to observe the previous year trends, that so and so number of questions are expected from a topic, but one should not base their preparation entirely on that. One should be ready for any sort of changes or unexpected huge number of questions. Like consider the IFSCA mains last time. There were questions excessively from insurance. Like they even went ahead and asked first principle of insurance, second principle of insurance.
Hmm.
So one should be ready for such surprises.
Okay. So I totally agree with you, but all the aspirants would be thinking, sir, it's like studying everything under the sun, isn't it? I mean, we have to prepare a whole lot. Is it something like that? Or where should we limit our preparation? Like if you see Companies Act and even in management, there were some questions which were slightly application based too. You are preparing the theory, you are preparing the bare act, but preparing for the application based questions, how would we go about that? Would you like to guide on this?
Sir, coming to application-based questions, it becomes much easier when you understand the concept behind the topic, especially in management, and it really helps if you are someone who is working already, because the management that we study in subjects is of very little significance compared to the management that you see around you when you are working. So you will be able to relate it to it much more closely if you are a working aspirant, because there is only so much that you can learn from books when it comes to management. And when it comes to companies act, like the syllabus is very clearly defined that only so and so chapters are included and nothing beyond that. And even within the syllabus, I think you can comfortably leave all the penalties, because even if you, let's say you plan to study only the important penalties, but when in the exam environment, you won't be able to recall whether the penalty is 10,000 or 1 lakh. Like it's very minute difference. So no, even if you study that prior to the exam, there is no guarantee that you'll be able to recall it. So it is better to comfortably leave all the penalties. At the same time, there are certain relevant provisions, like there are exceptions for private companies, IFSC companies, in Companies Act. You can leave all such exceptions. So you have to be strategic about it, like uh, try to understand what is a good cost benefit ratio. Like if I study this, will I be able to recall it in the exam? So if you're not able to recall it in the exam, there's no point in studying that in the first place. So you can comfortably leave all such data points.
Okay, wonderful. So this is what I said. Krishna is totally sorted out as far as the preparation is concerned. Let's take cues from his preparation, and let's also plan out our own preparation, right, for all the aspirants in a very sorted manner. Okay, so of course, whatever you may not be able to remember, it is really wastage of time to go about that, and strategically you will have to plan about that. That is what Krishna says. So as we spoke before this session also, and now also, as I can see, are very much sorted as far as these things are concerned. Many a times aspirants are unable to decide between things, and the wrong decision actually makes them land into something which they might waste time into. So is there anything specific that you do to keep yourself sorted, or is it like a natural thing with you? What would you advise? Because it's like keeping the mind also in the right state for the preparation of this exam. So what are the tips that you would advise with respect to that?
So when it comes to making a choice, I would advise to first look at the complete picture. Let's say you are interested in preparing for the RBI exam. So go through the different stages of RBI, like what is expected of you in the prelims, what is expected in the mains, and likewise for interview, and make a comparison with other exams. So identify where you can maximize your chances of selection. Like some people are naturally good at memorizing stuff, while some people are they have an analytical bent of mind, and they can they don't have much of a difficulty in solving reasoning or quant, or being able to write descriptive answers. And RB interview is also considered to be the most grueling of all regulatory bodies. So if you are someone who is able to handle such kind of pressure and clear the exam despite that, so based on analyzing what your strengths and weaknesses are, you can pick your set of exams. That is what I feel.
Okay,
But
so
what I think is many people go by the typical notion that RBI is the best of all, or that RBI is the most prestigious, I should target for it. Whereas they'd be lacking the basic requirements of RBI, like they don't make it past the prelim stage itself. So it is always important to pick the right set of exams and then give your best to it.
yes. So doing the SWOT analysis and then going about what your strengths, weaknesses are, according to that, picking the right exam and taking each decision in that manner is something that Krishna advises. So as you spoke about interview, let me just ask a few things related to that. You gave multiple interviews and you have given the previous year's SEBI interview also, which you said was devastating, while the next one you improved a whole lot on that. Would you mention what happened actually in the previous interview and what was different this time, and how did you pick up things, and what would you advise about that to all the aspiring people?
Sir, I think there is very little difference when it comes to me coming to both the interviews. But what changed was the panel itself. So I
Okay.
think that made a whole lot of difference because in my 2024 interview, no,
Yeah.
are we connected, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what happened in 2024 was that the panel right off the bat started. Like that was the time when the SEBI employees protest was at its peak.
Okay.
So the very first question they asked me was, what would you do if we asked you to work late nights? So I told them, okay, as and when the work demands, I'll be okay with working late nights. I don't have any issue as such. And then follow up to that, they'll ask me, what if we do ask you to do it on a daily basis? So I said, sir, it is not practical to work till 10 p.m. every day on a daily basis. So I talk it to my immediate supervisor and take it up with him. So and then they countered it with saying that okay, your boss is not listening. He's adamant about asking you to stay till 10 p.m. And then I said that okay, I take it up with the HR then. Then they said that the HR is also not listening. So what would you do? I said that okay, I take it up with the higher authorities, and they were not even satisfied. So I finally gave up and said I don't know what to do. So that's when they left that issue, and then they started asking that you had worked in the private sector, startup for a year. Now you want to join SEBI. Is it because you want to have a 9 to 5 relaxed job? Uh, and I said that's not the case. I'm joining SEBI because it encourages freshers to join the financial sector and also gives them big responsibilities, right? Given that SEBI is the regulator of capital markets. And they did not seem to be satisfied because there is only so much you can justify through your words. And then they followed it up with that I'm from South India and how would I be able to adjusting at different locations like Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata. And again, what I felt was, such questions are better not asked in an interview because there is only so much you can convince them with your words. At the end of the day, you don't have something to prove it actually, right? You can only tell them that, sir, I don't have an issue and I made up my mind to, relocate to a different location. I even learned Hindi language. So there is only so much that you can do. But if they don't want to be convinced, you cannot do anything. Whereas coming to this year's interview, I felt the panel was much more cordial. They did not go into such rhetoric questions. They asked me, they understood after I told them my background that, okay, this guy is committed to working joining a regulatory body. I told them that I had appeared for all the interviews and all the regulatory bodies once, and this is my second interview at SEBI, and I'm presently working as a manager in a bank. And these are my reasons for joining SEBI. And they seem to be pretty convinced, and there was not much of a cross question because they found me as a genuine candidate. So that is what I feel. The panel's perception towards you decides the tone of the interview. Let's say the panel is presumptuous, or they made up their mind even before you enter the room. There is nothing you can do about it. That interview is a gone cause.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because my 2024 SEBI interview was the only one that went this way. Like all the other interviews, I was given one of the highest scores. Like in PFRDA, 26 or something was the highest score. I was given 25. In IFSC interview, 10.5 was the highest score. I was given somewhere close to 10. And I'm like this year's SEBI scorecard is not out yet, but I'm hoping I was given a good score in interview as well. So
Okay.
what changes is your stars on the day. If it's not your day, it's not your day. That's all.
Of course, we can pray a little and then go for the interview, something that
Yes,
you would
exactly.
say. But yeah, it is slightly luck based. And apart from what we cannot do about the luck, I mean, we cannot do anything with respect to that aspect. But something that we can do with respect to interview, what would you advise to all the people who are seriously preparing? I mean, they have cleared the phase two and all, and what would you advise to them specifically? Is there anything that you would advise with
So,
respect to interview?
after giving so many interviews, what I would advise any candidate is to make a good first impression, which happens not when you enter the room, but when the panel sees your resume or your DAF or whatever it is called. So, always try to have good credentials. Most of it should are not in your hand because you would have already completed your graduation. So, try to add some certification courses to it to show that you are serious about joining this organization or making your career in the financial sector. Don't simply fill it with words that I'm interested for so and so reason, because words can only convince a person so much. But if you add some weight to it through some courses or having or working in the financial sector, it could be a different industry as well. Like you could be working in banking or you could be working as an investment banker. It could be different, but try to have some hands-on experience. Take up a part-time role or internship or anything of that sort, or add up a certification course to your resume. So such things add weight to your profile so that you don't have to convince the panel only by your words. And second thing, try to improve your communication skills, because that is very much important when you want to convey your thoughts and your feelings. If you lack your communication skills, even if you have a wonderful idea inside your mind, you would not be able to put it across the table. So at the end of the day, the panel is going to judge you from what they see. So the burden of convincing them is in your hands. So while giving mock interviews help, mostly what I feel is your personality. You cannot fake it in the interview. And those are people with decades of experience. They're going to sniff out any fakeness in your personality or in your way of talking, just like that. So better not fake anything. Try to be a genuine candidate, and don't look for any shortcut to interviews. Like coaching institutes do teach a lot in the mock interviews that do this, do that, but I feel that those are shortcuts, and try to, if at all you want to follow them, incorporate them into your personality. Live that life for a few months. Like don't start for preparing for interview just when the phase two results are out. You can prepare the technical part, but the actual personality, try to develop it a few months before the interview as well. And have some hobbies also. Don't come across someone like preparing only for the exams. I'm sure you can take at least half an hour of every day, to spend time on your hobbies. It gives you a rounded personality.
Okay, so
That
it's
is
like
what I feel.
preparing for the interview is something which is a much longer process in comparison to what
Yes,
people feel. We should just prepare after phase two or something. Once we are cleared, we'll think about it. It's not about that
exactly,
feeling that you are like really interested in this particular job is something that you
mm,
should inculcate, is something that I
exactly,
feel you are saying, and then that will give you a personality that will reflect on that day when you're
exactly.
giving an
And also,
interview.
you don't have this performance pressure on the day of interview because you will become a natural at it.
Great, wonderful, wonderful to hear that. That I think is something that we can learn a whole lot, because we definitely we see many candidates going for shortcuts like doing this,
Exactly,
that, and then going for the interview. That is something that will be definitely understood by the panel. They're really experienced, so you should
exactly.
try to develop your personality instead of that. It is not that you
Because
particularly.
if you look for shortcuts, you'd be busy being conscious about those things,
Yeah.
and you won't be able to give your best at answering their questions, because at the back of the head, you'll be thinking about all these things.
Hmm.
Whereas if you are a natural at it, you don't have to focus, you don't have to be conscious about all these things. You can have a free flowing conversation with the panel members, which is what they expect actually. They don't want to interact longer with a candidate who is nervous or who is very much uncomfortable in sitting or speaking freely. Right. No one would want to have a longer conversation with such candidates.
Yeah.
So better
So.
make their time worth it. And that is what I would say.
Okay, so it's said that it's more difficult to tell a lie. So it is something like that.
Yes,
So if
exactly.
you are just thinking something in the background, that would be noticed
Mm,
for sure. You would be nervous on that day. So it is
exactly.
better to go for the natural personality, mold yourself a little daily on that, and also have some hobbies. And very
Mm.
important thing that you pointed out is that go for some certifications which actually add value. Also do things which add value to your profile. It's not that you're just saying that I like to do this or that, or I'm
Exactly.
interested in something. So you can definitely say that I have done this, and then
Mm.
that proves the worth. That is great to hear. That is a wonderful tip for everyone who's definitely really seriously preparing for the exam. Now coming to the part where I would just like to ask, like we were talking about it, that you're a very confident person within yourself, as I can talk to you and understand. You were also telling me that your family, friends, they have also given support to you and helped you along this journey. So if you would like to mention about how they helped along your journey and what kept you motivated through the entire journey, and what should actually be the motivation, as we were discussing, you can tell the aspirants.
Sir, I think many aspirants they just disconnect from the outside world while they're preparing for exams, which I would strictly advise against because uh, it reflects in your personality when you appear for the interview. So it is always advisable to lead a normal life. Don't take this exam preparation journey as some sort of tapas where you have to stay away from the all the worldly things. So it's always better to have a normal personality. And because this very clearly reflects in your interview, because I have met some candidates whose interview went really bad because of this thing.
Okay. So having a holistic personality, holistic
Holistic personality, yes.
daily routine is also very important. Is the
Because you hear it very common from candidates who did not make it to the exam that I had sacrificed so much. You know, I
right,
feel that sacrifice to that extent is not required. Obviously, you can't waste all your day doing different sorts of things, but try to maximize your study time, but don't make it the only thing in your day. That is what I would say.
right, wonderful. So life keeps going on. Of course, give more importance,
Exactly,
more preference to the exam, but you should keep your life running. You shouldn't just stop at a
exactly.
particular point so that you regret later on. Yeah, because
Yes,
that is reflected in the interview also. It is really important,
yes, yes.
and of course, through the preparation process, you would be lightheaded, and that would help as
Mm.
far as the process is concerned. That's great to hear. And apart from that, of course, this is a thing that is, I would say, saying that is easier slightly than actually going into that, because there are many challenges that people face, right? So, are there any challenges that you faced and actually you came up with this personality and you actually came up with all of these thoughts? Or what would you advise with respect to handling challenges during the preparation?
Yes, sir, I would say all these learnings have come through experience, and not that I knew all of this, right before I started preparation. Throughout this journey, I had, realized all these things. And coming to challenges, sir, I would say biggest challenge is that fear of not having a fallback option, given that all these exams come with, almost pretty much single-digit vacancies that anyone is eligible for.
Right.
And that itself sets the expectation that you have very little chance to qualify for the exam, and that puts enormous amount of pressure on you when you don't have a fallback option. And given that an average candidate who is pretty much a jobless engineer, taking the numbers into account, so the stress is real. So what I would suggest is, pursue try to pursue a career parallelly while preparing, and don't make this preparation your whole life, not looking for other alternate employment opportunities, and studying 24/7 for these exams. So this is one thing that I tend to suggest to anyone who asks me for an opinion,
Okay.
because I have been through that phase. And last December, when I got a job offer to join a bank as a manager, I took up the opportunity primarily because I was done living in my room for almost 3 years preparing for exams. I
Okay.
wanted to get out and have a life. I felt that these exams notifications keep coming, keep going. So I don't have to stop my life for that. So this is one realization that I had, and after joining the job, although the sacrifice was that I could not study for what I used to study previously, because I had other commitments at workplace, and you are not even sure how much time you are going to get to study. So try to pick up a job that is not much demanding. Especially don't go for banks because banks are hugely demanding. So try to go for other opportunities like insurance companies or a job through CGL, SSC CGL. Such kind of jobs which are less demanding will give you a balance. You will have a backup option. You are financially independent. At the same time, you'll have enough time to prepare for the exams. This is one thing that I learned over these 3 years.
Okay, wonderful. So, yeah, wonderful tips from your preparation, Krishna. And it was great talking to you because I felt like the thoughts were just flowing throughout the conversation. And again, I would say a very sorted person. And yeah, developing a personality is something that is really, really important for these exams because it definitely reflects in the various stages of the exam is something I would say is a crux of all this discussion. And it was great having you with us over here. And some last few tips that you would like to give to all the future wonderful aspirants who are watching this session. So, anything from your side, a message to them would highly be appreciated.
Sir, the only thing that I would like to conclude with is that make your journey also memorable. Don't take it to that I'll enjoy life only after I get the final result. Keep enjoying your life. As and when you make it to the finalist, you can celebrate it then. That's the only thing that I would say.
Okay, wonderful. So life goes on, preparation also
Yes.
goes on. Something that we would like to take from you, and it was wonderful having you once again. Congratulations from the side of the entire team of EduTap for your this wonderful achievement, and wishing you all the best for your the life ahead, right? And thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Krishna.
Thank you.